Earlier on, we saw Tom Dykoff previewing the rejuvenated St Pancras station in London. Well, if you can make it to the station, then you're only a couple of croissants away from one of the best art collections in France. I went on a day trip. The French city of Lille is a pretty multicultural place. It's been Spanish, it's been part of the Burgundian Empire, and it was once the capital of Flanders. Now, from the 14th of November, it's going to be a little bit British. Once the new, even faster train line is up and running, it'll be just an hour and 20 minutes from London, a mere commuter hop, and only 4 hours by train from the Midlands. And for anyone interested in art, that's good news. Lille's famous for its imposing 19th century architecture and its hundreds of varieties of French and Flemish beer. But that's not why I've come. I'm here to visit the Palais des Beaux-Arts, Britain's newest local art gallery. Actually, it's rather grand. I think I'm interrupting their lesson, but like so many museums in France, the museum at Lille is actually the child of the French Revolution, because what happened after the Revolution was that the revolutionaries stripped the churches, convents and cathedrals of all their art. And a museum such as Lille, the core of its holdings is a set of great religious paintings. And I think the pick of all of them, merci, the pick of all of them is this great Rubens Descent from the Cross, which once stood on the high altar of the Franciscan monastery here in Lille. And it's an absolute knockout picture. Please, miss, can I do my piece to camera now? Alone with Rubens at last. It's a fantastic picture. Christ's body is this astonishing blue colour. And there's this very strong emphasis, often in Franciscan commissions. The Franciscans placed a great deal of emphasis on Christ's suffering. And you get that here in Rubens with the treatment of the hands, the wound, the blood, the emphasis on the instruments of his torture and death. But at the heart of it all, as so often in Rubens, there's a contrast that brings home to you the centre of the event. And the contrast is between this wonderful figure of Mary Magdalene with her well-fed youth, health and loveliness, and the pathos of Christ's death. It's a great painting, but this is only the beginning. Onwards, onwards. Oh, pardon, encore, je suis désolé. We keep bumping into each other. She's trying to avoid me, I'm trying to avoid her. Where can we go? I know, let's go and look at, they've got some fantastic French art in this museum, as you might expect. That's a beautiful little Chardin. Now, the reason this is a great museum, not just a very good one, well, I think that's down to one man. It's down to Napoleon, because one of his many big ideas was the conviction that France shouldn't just have the Louvre, it should have really strong, rich local museums. And in fact, here at Lille, there's a wonderful portrait of him. He looks a little bit worried, as if he's got his mind on other things. It was painted in 1805. It's the year of the Battle of Trafalgar. Perhaps he was worried about the English beginning to get the upper hand. But if you come this way, the real pièce de la résistance of the French 18th century galleries is this work. It's by Jacques-Louis David, the greatest artist of his day, and it tells a story that's actually very similar to the Russell Crowe movie Gladiator. This is Belisarius, a great Roman general, who has fallen out with the emperor. He's had his eyes put out, he's been blinded, he's been reduced to begging outside one of the great triumphal arches erected in honour of his victories. And there's one of his soldiers recognising his master who's come so low. It's about a good man who's been wronged by the tyrannical state. And I wonder if you can't see within this picture, after all it's painted only 8 years before the French Revolution, I wonder if you can't see in this picture some sense of the simmering energies of discontent that were about to lead France into the years of revolution and terror. There's also a really strong gallery of French romantic art here, including this great masterpiece by Eugène Delacroix, Medea, insane, about to murder her children, a picture full of the blood and sensuality of French romanticism. But I'm looking for something else. Symbolism, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, I've got lost. Okay, this way. Sorry. This is what I was trying to find. I got lost in the riches of Lille's museum. But these two tremendous Goyas, they're not actually a pair, but they're presented as a pair. The young ladies and the old crones.
And it's not just any old crone. This rather unflattering portrait is actually a caricature of the Spanish Queen, and at the time was certainly not intended for the public or royal gaze.
It is a kind of horror movie of a satirical painting, a really dark example of Goya's later work. And in fact, the director ended up paying for it with his own money and surreptitiously donating it to the museum. I'm glad he did. I rather like this modern art interlude, a little bit of video art. This is the basement, the belly of the museum, and it's where they keep their greatest treasure of all. Here it is. This is by far the museum's greatest treasure, greater even than that wonderful Rubens, greater than the Jacques-Louis David. It's Donatello's relief telling the story of Salome. And there's no other example of his work that is as fine as this, as well lit as this, where you can go up so close to it. He's actually managed to cut into this 1 centimetre depth of stone 9 different progressive layers of space. All of this is so fantastic, but you get that combined with this powerful sense of narrative storytelling that you get in Donatello. So you get these wonderfully individuated faces. This chap who can barely contain his excitement as Salome does her dance of the 7 veils. And here you get the head of John the Baptist being presented on a plate. And this man here and him, they're both sickened by what's happened. And its provenance is very interesting because it's recorded as having been in the collection of Lorenzo de' Medici, Lorenzo the Magnificent, and it was in his sculpture gallery that Michelangelo learned his craft, his trade. So not only are we looking at one of the very greatest Renaissance works of art, we're also looking at one of the great Michelangelo's very first school textbooks.
And sadly today that's all I've got time for.
Back to London. That's the end of my little day trip to Lille. I'm sorry it was such a whistle-stop tour around the museum, but the bottom line is that if you really want to explore all its riches, you'll have to go there yourself. And why not take the kids? After all, everybody else did.